Hey guys, Davis Mallory here, and on this week's episode of Leaving a Legacy, I have country singer-songwriter Paulina Jayne.
I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. So you're originally from Detroit, Michigan, and you've been on tour this summer around the Midwest. Mm-hmm. Your new single, If I Knew Me Then, comes out September 20th.
Yes, sir.
And you have your first show at the Bluebird on September 26th.
I can't wait.
I'm getting
awesome.
excited to get to know you today on Leaving a Legacy.
Don't let it shake your faith when it seems like you're so far from amazing grace.
All right, Paulina, so let's take us back to life in Detroit. What was it like growing up?
Oh, my goodness. Well, you wouldn't guess this, but I was a basketball player. I was a little athlete. I liked to play sports. And so I started in that world. And up in Detroit, we've got a really cool basketball scene. So there's this place called St. Cecilia's. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's really famous where I'm from. So I would go and play basketball on the weekends, and then I'd come home near the week, and I'd be writing songs on the piano. And man, it was just the perfect place to grow up, to get to serve both of those things. It's a music city, right? Yeah. So I got to experience the music city side of it, and I got to experience the athletic side of it.
How did you learn how to write songs?
Oh, goodness. Learn? I don't know. It just happened.
Yeah?
It just happened. I took these piano lessons when I was a little girl. And one day I was sitting at the piano and I just realized, like, wow, I don't really love reading music.
No.
It's so boring.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm just going to see what I can do. So I just started messing around on the piano. And next thing I know, I've got this song that's just starting to cook, you know. My mom comes in the room and she's like, that's not on the sheet. I'm like, no, it's not. She's like, what is it then? I said, well, I wrote it.
Oh, wow.
And so that was the beginning. It all started on the piano for me.
Wow. And around what age were you at this point?
I was 9.
9. Mm-hmm. So your mom saw the talent at 9. Mm-hmm. And I know I've seen online your mom's very supportive of your career, which I really love and envy of that for you. So what is it like having a mom like that? She seems to travel with you a lot, and she's...
Sometimes I think that my mom was meant to do this.
Yeah?
Sometimes I'm like, Mom, are you sure that I'm the right one? You know, because she is so gifted.
Yeah.
She's so good at so many things. She totally could have been an artist and a songwriter herself, but the day and age when she was growing up, it just wasn't an option,
of course.
You know? And she was a single mom and had to figure out how to make ends meet for a while.
She couldn't get on TikTok and show her skills.
Yeah, that wasn't going to be possible. But I will say, you know, just getting to have that support from not only my mom, my dad too. Yeah. He can't sing a lick. No. You don't want to hear my dad sing, like you will leave the room. But the fact that the two of them get behind me and they're like, just go for it. Dream, baby, dream. You know, that's just a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
It's a blessing, really.
It is.
And so are they still in Michigan?
They are.
Okay.
They are. I will get them here at some point.
And how often do they visit you in Nashville?
My mom's here. She has a rule that she doesn't want to go longer than about 6 weeks.
Okay.
But we break that sometimes because life gets tough, you know.
And when was her last visit?
Oh, goodness. Well, I saw her last when I played a show in Ohio last week or week before that.
Okay, nice.
And then she's coming down because I'm moving, so.
Yep. You're in the middle of a move. Mm-hmm. And now how long have you been in Nashville?
I've been in Nashville since August of 2014.
Goodness, a long time.
A long time.
I moved here August of 2013.
Oh my goodness.
So we have August anniversaries for Nashville.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's so great. I spent the first 4 years in college. So
Belmont?
Belmont.
Nice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I had signed a management deal when I was 13 up in Detroit. It brought me here to Nashville all the time. So I was here every 2 weeks, recording, writing. And I was telling you earlier, like one of the first people I wrote with was J.T. Harding and Shane McAnally and Steph Jones, who was on the Sabrina Carpenter record like we were talking about.
Sick.
So it's like, it was just this crazy, I just got immersed in this town. And I fell in love. I just caught the bug.
Yeah.
It started feeling like home to me. I met a producer here. He took me under his wing. I'd go stay at his family's house. We would record a bunch of stuff. I went to school after finding out about Belmont. My wallet will forever hate me for that, but my friendships are deep.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wound up getting to be here because of them and them taking me in. And I wound up starting my own management company in college and
No way.
just getting to learn that side of things.
So who were you managing?
I managed some kind of like social media publishing stuff, not publishing, publicity stuff for other people.
Okay.
Just trying to help them kind of get their names out there.
Yeah.
And then I wound up using my career as a guinea pig for everything.
Smart. Just testing out things, seeing what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those
What lessons did you learn along that?
Oh, Lord. Well, first of all, one of the things that I was told, and the other girls in my group too, we were all told that we were fast like a Ferrari and scary like a Ferrari. Because we had this idea, and at the inception of the idea, we were taken off. Like the idea had already left, left the building. So I think there's wisdom to being the Ferrari. There's also wisdom to maybe being the beater car that needs to go a little slower. Because I've just learned how important it is to get to know the people you're working with before you put any names down on paper or even just make a verbal agreement,
Yeah. Okay. So kind of going through some dating before contracts.
Absolutely.
With artists and people maybe you're hiring.
Exactly.
Too, right?
It's crucial.
Yeah.
It's crucial. The people around you make or break what you're doing.
Yeah. And so you went to Belmont for 4 years. And then before that, when you were here as a kid, like, did you release any of the music you were making?
I did. Yeah. A lot.
Is it still online? Can we hear it?
It is online.
What should we go listen to?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So there is a ridiculous song called Get Back on Your Feet.
Okay.
There's also a ridiculous song called Big Booty Country Girl.
Oh, wow.
And so you might as well just go laugh today and listen to those.
Okay. I'm going to, as we leave this studio, those are going to be bumping my car.
Yeah. You will definitely look at me differently, and that's fine.
But in today's generation, like version of yourself, like the music you're making right now, what is the message you're putting into your music right now?
Oh, my gosh. Well, we ran into each other at this
Cirque du
Soleil event
in Nashville.
Yeah, and we were getting to just talk about our why, and I understand the reason you have this podcast too is because you're trying to get down to the depth of that, the legacy, the things that matter beyond the one single you put out in September, and I've been really fortunate over the last few years to really dive into that why through prayer, through relationship, through stepping back and not playing out as much and just kind of staying to my songwriter room and trying to understand really what's the difference between Paulina now and Paulina when she was 13, when she first started this thing. And my gosh, God has just sculpted my heart in new ways, and I've gotten to know who He is and how deeply He loves me and cares for me and wants me to know that. And so, my gosh, now, what is it about? It's first and foremost about serving my King and giving Him the glory for what I'm doing. But I get to do that in a really unique way, which is in secular music. I'm intentionally not in Christian music because I believe that who I serve goes after everyone. And so I want my music to go after everyone. I want it to speak to the masses and relate to the masses. There's nobody who knows their audience better than the Lord Jesus Christ. There's nobody. So if I get to speak to whatever audience He's given me, then that's my goal. That's my dream. I just need to steward that well. And He gives words. If you listen, He'll give you words. So that's why I do this. And I also just love it. Like, let's just be real. I love it. I love music.
Yeah.
I love it.
I feel like you're relaying a lot of the same things that I felt when I was like, what is it I want to do with music? And I made like 2 songs I would probably call Christian songs.
Yeah.
But even in the same way, they were kind of more like hidden message Christian songs, not so direct.
Yep.
A couple actually, and really. And so I feel like with your music that you've made, like what are some of your songs that have sort of that hidden message in them? Or maybe they are direct, but what are some of the ones you feel that are
Well, a lot of that stuff is coming soon because what I had before was music that I kind of felt like I was supposed to put out. Like a lot of people were telling me kind of what to do. I did have a backbone. You know, I did make some decisions for myself too, but I did listen because I valued what these people had to say. Yeah. And they weren't wrong.
Yeah.
Nobody was wrong. There's a song I put out in 2016, which is a while ago now. And it's called Love's Gonna Always Win. And I feel like it has more legs now than it even did then. It's just about hope.
Yeah.
It's about hope.
Yeah.
While the world's on fire, hope is a burning inferno high. Love is a candle that you can't unlight. Love's gonna always win.
Mm-hmm.
And
beautiful. Nice.
My goodness, it was so fun to write. I wrote that with Trey Bruce and Haley Steele. They're awesome writers here, and they've written so many things you would know. You know, and the fact that they sat down with me was a blessing. But, you know, now, who am I thinking about? I'm thinking about the young chicks. I'm thinking about the guys who are getting kind of a bad rap right now. You know, I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about redemption. And in this song I'm putting out in September, if I knew me then like I know me now, there are roads that I would have never gone down. You know, it's a reflection. It's a sign of reflection.
And when did you write that song?
About a year ago. I was sitting with Rob Crosby, and he was telling me about all of his regrets in the music industry.
Yeah.
And in his life and people he had wronged. And I said, wow, yeah, if I knew me then, like I know me now, I would have done some things differently too.
And that's relatable for everyone. Mm-hmm. We all have those things in our lives.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But there's no shame in where we've come from.
Yeah.
We've been rid of that.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. We've been forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And we can forgive ourselves too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So If I Knew Me Then comes out September 20th.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And any plans for the release, like music video or in touring, performing it, these kind of
Yeah, I
things?
mean, I've got a couple things sort of based around it. Like I've got a show in Colorado. I've got a show in Bluebird Cafe.
Will you be singing it at the Bluebird?
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, I'll be singing it. I can't wait. I can't wait.
And it's your first time playing the Bluebird as an artist. You've been there before supporting other people or singing, you know, as a guest. But this is your first, like, show for yourself.
I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped about it. It's going to be with Jake Etheridge and Rob Crosby and then his son, Matthew Crosby. So cool. Rob and Matthew write a lot of stuff that's pretty international. Like it's over in Europe and it's pretty well known over there. So it's kind of cool because it's like a whole different world of music. But we're going to do that show. And as far as the release goes, I have this idea, and it's something I'm kind of working out right now, to talk to people of all different walks of life and just ask them, you know, to finish the statement. If I knew me then like I know me now, I would.
It's beautiful.
Insert thing.
Yeah.
There's so much wisdom out there.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. That's the biggest thing I know is that I know nothing.
Yeah. I mean, we all have something to share. You know, we all have experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I want to know what you think. What's something that you would? I know this is your podcast.
Oh, I mean, I can think of when I first got to this town, I was hungry, and I'd also came from like a sales job. So I was like sales emailing everyone, being like, take a coffee with me, meet me.
I love that.
And I had one older songwriter tell me, he was an old man in this town. Like at the time I met him, he was in his 60s or 70s, and he had written like 4 or 5 #1 songs. And he was like, you just got to be careful in this town. You don't want to rub anyone the wrong way. You don't want to come off too strong too soon. And I feel like in some ways I probably did, because I think there's some people that wouldn't return my email anymore because I was a kid at the time. I've been here for 11 years. Yeah. And I was just like, hey, meet me. Hey, I put a song out. Check it out. You know, I was almost like spamming people. Like, this song's out now. And I used to spam everyone whenever I would release a song. Like,
that's great.
Text everyone, you know, kind of just because you're supposed to be a promoter. But I think in some ways I probably over promoted.
I love that. I think that's awesome.
one of my many "If I Knew Me Then"
That
stories.
is so good. I'm gonna remember that.
But I could see a really cool video of you just like interviewing people on the street, and then the song plays at the beginning and maybe at the end, but then in the middle you're just gathering people's stories.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
That's my thought. And there's a little nursing home around here. And I think I'm gonna pop in there and
that's a really good idea.
Talk to them, you know?
Yeah.
Those places, I want to hear what's going on in those places. There's a lot of cool conversations going on in there.
I felt like something else to share in this podcast is that like I've written a lot of secular music, even sexual music, kind of the stuff that you would imagine any pop artist in America would release. But there's been a few times where I've written songs that have felt like they were from God. Like one time I wrote a song called Not That Far Away, which was essentially saying like our place in paradise is not that far away. Wow. And to my surprise, it got programmed in Walgreens in America and still is. Wow. And so my mom one time was shopping in Walgreens and heard it and started crying and ran to the cashier and was like, "That's my son." But for the longest time, that song was the only song that was generating me any money on my PRO. Like I'm with CSAC. So for the longest time, it was just generating me money. And I was like, that's such a surprise, you know? Wow. And it's like, that to me was kind of one of those kind of God signals where God was like, I will reward you if you write music that's good, you know? And then I had a song that I wrote during the pandemic with a girl from American Idol called Faith. And the lyrics were like, you know, the world's ending, but don't let it shake your faith, you know? Yeah. And that song generated the most money I've ever made on a song before in-store radio play. Wow. Where I was like, whoa, there's a second experience where God's like saying, write music like this, Davis, I will reward you. And then I wrote a song, the last like faith-based song I can remember writing was just flat out saying, tell me why you made me. It was like my plea to ask God, like, what's my purpose here on earth? Why did you make me? And then out of the nowhere, it shot up on my Spotify as one of my most listened to songs with zero promotion. I never put it in a playlist. I never paid for it to get playlisted at all. And it just shot up. And it still sits right now in my top 10. And I'm like, that's just a surprise for me. But it also, to me, can be a signal. Like God's like, keep doing this, Davis. Like I will reward you if you keep writing music that has this kind of purpose because people want to hear it. Yeah. And there's, you know, and that was when I started off writing music. I often pray this to God. I'm like, use me as a vessel to point to you, or use me in some way like a Bible character. Like, what is my purpose, God? Like, but use me. Because I feel like the Bible was stopped written, but we're still part of the story. And even though the Bible's not being written anymore, we can still be part of the story.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
I thought about this the other day, and I'm kind of curious what you think. If you look through scripture, not to get on a scripture pedestal right now, not at all doing that, because I, again, don't know anything, right? So, but if you look through it, like all the books are named either by locations or whatever, but they're named, a lot of them by people. Like there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Think about the different titles of these books. And something that I've battled with in my mind at times is, you know, what does God think about names, like people making it? What does he think about that? What does he have to say about that? Because it's real easy to think, oh, well, God doesn't like fame because he doesn't want your name to be bigger than his. I just think that that's not true. I just don't think that that's true. He wouldn't have given titles of his holy scripture to names of man if he was afraid of fame. Yeah. Because there are people in the Bible who are more pronounced. Their names are more obvious to other
Moses,
people. Yeah.
Noah.
Exactly.
Israel.
Exactly.
David.
There's no book of the Bible named Jesus.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's like, I have no problem honoring Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, so on and so forth. I have no problem doing that. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of fame. And in fact, I will use it. Yeah. I will use it. I just think that that's fascinating because I sort of have wrestled in my own heart and at times with, do I want to be a Christian artist? Do I want to be a country artist? What do I want to do? But I am all about the people who don't know what the heck we're talking about. Like when we say the phrase, I am redeemed, because that meant nothing to me at some point in time too.
And do you know what your name means if you look at the root? Paulina and Jayne, what do those two names mean?
Well, Paul and John are the masculine forms.
Okay.
I don't know what they mean off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I know who they were.
Yeah. My name Davis means son of David. Cool. And a Christian friend of mine asked me the other day, she's like, have you ever looked into what your name means? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, well, I know it means son of David. And then I was listening to a book called Case for Faith or Case for Christ. Mm-hmm. And it was talking about why is Jesus the example of the prophet the Jews were looking for. You know, they were looking for king, and a lot of them didn't believe Jesus fit that. And the book was saying, well, this is why he is. And one of the things said that the prophet would come for is he will be a son of David. And as I saw that line, I thought to myself, that this girl just asked me the day before, what does my name mean? And they were saying, son of David. And then they were calling Jesus son of David. And by no means am I trying to say I'm Jesus. I don't feel that I am. But I just thought that was a nice reminder to know that my name has that sort of connection to Jesus, you know, in a way. But then the problem with my name, the last name, Mallory, well, if you think of Mal, it means bad in Spanish.
Right.
And Ori is almost like victory or king. So it can be thought of as an unlucky king or a bad king.
Wow.
The last name. So I've never quite liked my last name.
Oh, no.
I've even thought about dropping it or changing it or something. Because like when you think about the root of what your name is, it can hold a lot of weight on you.
Right.
You know?
Right. That's fascinating. I admittedly have not thought about the root of my name.
Yeah, something to look up.
It is. Yeah. It is. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Well, so talk to me about your faith. Like, when did it begin? Did you get raised in a Christian family? Who was the first influence in your family to really introduce Christianity to it?
Yeah. When I was growing up, I lived in a household where we would go to church probably Christmas and Easter. My parents...
CEOs, as they call it.
Yes.
Christmas, Easter, and other times.
Yeah, other times.
Yeah.
Very sparse other times, right?
Yeah.
I grew up too in a household that was untraditional. So my mom wore the pants in the household, and my dad was pretty acquiescent. I mean, he's still, like I said earlier, he had a backbone too, but he was acquiescent for the most part to what Deb's mission was, right? So when you look at the traditional thought of what Christianity is, like, people always assume that it has to look a certain way, and that when Scripture talks about the man being the head of the household, well, they forget about other parts of that entire passage. So my mom may not have been what people expected when it came to Christianity, but that was like the coolest thing for me to experience, because I was like, wow, I don't have to stay in the kitchen and cook all day. Like, I can go be a woman and do the things I want to do, and so on and so forth. Break these stereotypes. So I had this woman in my life named Hallie. Hallie was probably one of the biggest saving graces I'll ever have. She was there for me when my family had problems. We had a lot of issues growing up. I have a family member who's not been well for a long time, and I'll spare the name of this person. But Hallie was there for me. She held me. She was with me every day from the time I was 2 weeks old till I was 13. She was like a grandmother in a lot of ways. And when I'd come down into the family room in the mornings, TD Jakes would be on the screen, and TD Jakes would be delivering a message and singing and screaming and preaching and everything in between. And Hallie was African American. I'm white, obviously. So the two of us had some cultural differences, but it was the most wonderful, eye-opening experience of love I've ever had. And that changed me. And it gave me a new picture into who God was too. Because honestly, where I was going to church on Christmas and Easter, I was bored out of my mind and couldn't wait. I would get those little pamphlets out, and I would circle all the ands and all the thes in the pamphlet trying to kill time because I was so bored.
Yeah.
But Hallie, when she would show me TD Jakes, I just lit up. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So she planted seeds. And as my life continued, I met other people like Herschel Boone and Tarina Boone, and they came into my life and they just poured into me. Seeds, watering. Next thing I know, I get to college at Belmont, and it's a Christian college. I don't know that that's like necessarily always the focus there, but I met some people who became some of my close friends, and we got to talk about our faith. Again, watering. And then something just broke open in 2020. I'd lost one of my best friends. He was 24. He passed away right at the beginning of COVID. And I sat through the rest of that year really reflecting on that because I lost pretty much everything I had going on that year. Yeah. That was supposed to be a really pivotal year for me. And so I spent a lot of time on walks, spent a lot of time writing, recording at my house, and I spent a lot of time trying to understand what I believed. And my conclusion is that I did believe in Jesus. Not only did I believe in him, but I really wanted to know him. And since then, a woman named Jen Otero has come into my life, and she started as a counselor for me and became more of a friend and a big sister over time. And she's shown me what it's like to encounter the love of God. And I've just studied it, and I realized, like, little Paulina, I didn't understand that that was the foundation. It's love is the foundation of this faith. And that's so broken in a lot of churches and in a lot of places because it's forgotten.
Yeah.
And because we're human and we're going to mess up.
And we all perceive the faith in different ways. Mm-hmm. Some people focus on certain scriptures and certain practices of the faith and forget other parts.
Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. But when that foundation of love isn't laid, it's really hard to then understand the next sort of layer, which, at least in my mind, is free will. And so we have this layer of love. Everything is born out of love from him, even the hard stuff. That's a crazy one.
Sometimes when we're walking through the valley, it's because there's a lesson to be learned, or the hardship we're going through is to teach us or sharpen us, make us better.
We've been so hurt. We've all been so hurt in so many different ways that our perception of what love is very, very broken.
Yeah.
And
because I mean, sometimes our family hurts us, or the people we choose to date hurt us, and so then we're just wounded and walking through life wounded.
Yep. And so I've found, knowing that the king of the world, of everything, loves me, is the most humbling experience. And to know he's pursuing me, chasing me, wanting me. I can't believe it. It's really humbling. It's a really, really humbling concept. And I always hope and pray that people encounter that, because I understand what it's like to hear it and be like, well, that's hogwash because I've never experienced that. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
But it comes when you ask. Is asking you shall receive, and it's not just something that I'm pulling out of context. That's real.
When did you start to feel like you had a relationship with the Holy Spirit?
Probably I started to begin to experience the Holy Spirit in 2020. And more recently, I sound crazy, but the nearness of the Holy Spirit is wild. It's wild. It's so near. Not only near, but within.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's that quiet voice that's discerning you from, speaking to you in times and when prayer, and you kind of just sit back and then listen. What is the answer to the prayer? And have you feel like you've experienced miracles? Anything that you'd want to share if you have?
I started telling you before we even started this thing that I was super ill in 2020.
Yeah.
got really, really sick. And I was in the hospital. I think I went to the ER 6 times in 1 year. That was very expensive. Don't recommend. And doctors diagnosed me with a lot of different things. One of the things they diagnosed me with was Cushing's disease, which is a life-altering disease that has to do with cortisol. Basically strips you of any kind of quality of life. So I would have had to completely finish and end out everything I was doing, you know. On top of that, I was told I had a tumor in my liver and a mass in my adrenal glands. Then I was told that there was concern about brain cancer, ovarian cancer, and liver cancer. And I was playing a show at the Songwriters Fest in Key West. And I got all the news right before I literally was supposed to step on the stage and play. Because my doctor called me with the results. And so it was in that time that I realized I was going to have to start praying for a miracle. It was time.
Yeah.
And so I did. And not only did I, but everyone around me did. And I literally went and did all the scans and all the testings, and everything that had just shown up prior wasn't there anymore.
Wow.
It was all gone. In a matter of, I think it was like between 6 and 9 months, all my testing was done. Everything was gone. And my life turned back around. And I was Paulina again. I started coming back to life. It was a time.
I'm so happy to hear that.
It was a time, baby. Yeah. It was a time. And it could have been more of a time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Gosh. Okay. So then back to good health and back to business and back to life as it used to be.
Yep. But also different. My friend Herschel said to me, and I don't know if you felt this way after 2020, but like everything changed and nothing was going to be able to go back to the way it was.
True. It definitely did feel like a different, and has since still felt like a different version of life.
Yep.
We were all a little scarred from that experience in different ways.
Different ways, yep.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy, huh?
I was going to pick up about something. You just played the Bridgestone Arena with the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yes.
What was that like?
Okay, this is crazy. Have you ever played like an arena like that?
I have not.
Okay, I thought maybe you had.
I played a basketball halftime show.
So cool.
Similar.
That's sweet.
So, yes, I guess I could, but I've never played the Bridgestone Arena.
Do you know then what it's like to have that many people in one space? Like, that's an incredible experience. I've played festivals with lots of people before, but to be in a room that has a lid on it, and hear the roar from the stage is insane. So I do a lot of stuff with words and music with the Country Music Hall of Fame. Okay. So I get to help these kids like learn how to songwrite and stuff. And I got to know this one young girl there, and I helped her with her song, and we wound up getting selected to go perform it and do all that stuff. So it was the All for the Hall event that they do every year. This is Keith Urban, Vince Gill, Will Warren Treaty, who I dearly love, like a bunch of other groups and everything who were playing. I think Kelsey Ballerini was there that night, Ernest, whatever. So I'm sitting backstage and I'm realizing I'm actually very nervous and terrified. And I'm like, this is very scary and I don't know what to do with myself right now. So I'm just going to pretend like everything's fine and going to try to be a rock for this little girl. So we go stand side stage, and I wind up just looking up there and being like, this is what I do every day. Like, we can do it, Paulina, let's go.
Yeah.
We step up there, take our little spots that are marked for us. And it's just me on acoustic with a vocal mic and then this girl. And that thing reverberated throughout the whole room. I didn't have in-ears. We just had floor monitors. It reverberated through the whole room. And I realized something in that moment. I realized that every show you play, whether that's for 100 people or 500 people or 5,000, whatever it is. Really, they're all very equivalent in so many ways. Sure, you always give your same performance in any place you play in. That's what I do, at least. I'm going to play for 5 people the same way I'm going to play for 5,000.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, I realized when you play Bridgestone Arena, you only see about 300 of them. So it's no different than anything you do anywhere else at any other time.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just when you're standing on the other stages, you're imagining the 20,000. When you're at the Bridgestone, they're actually there.
You just can't see them.
Yeah.
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 I thought you were going to say something different, which is what I experience when I play any show, regardless of size. Yeah. I feel nervous energy before, and then I'm like critical of myself afterwards.
Yeah.
Any show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I will. That show, they must have not muted the monitors.
Okay.
And so when I pulled the guitar cord out, because I'm thinking, oh, this is like a professional thing. Like they're going to already have me covered, right? So I pulled my guitar quarter inch out and then it goes pop. And I'm like, they're going to think I'm an amateur. I'm not an amateur. They're amateurs. They need to turn it off.
Yeah.
But I was so critical with myself about that after.
Yeah, it's so hard, I think, for us as singers to not be critical after our show. Like, did we miss a lyric? Did we sound flat or sharp or lose our voice or something? How many songs did you sing?
So I got to do it was basically like 1.5, but that's okay.
So no worry of running out of breath really for...
Thank God, no. I didn't have to sprint across the stage or anything, although I would have loved to.
Yeah. Well, that's a fantastic experience.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
What are some of your proudest moments in your career?
Oh, my. Proudest moments. Well, I think back a little bit, and I feel really proud of the little chick that kind of started this thing, you know? Because she went from playing a tiny little bar to then signing this deal to then going in. One of my first shows was an amphitheater, and I was opening up for Sheryl Crow, and I listened to her songs as a little girl, so I loved them. And in the moment, I didn't really realize how crazy that experience was or how much courage it took to do that, to get up there in front of all those people and open the show for that woman.
Yeah.
But now I look back and I'm like, wow. Yeah. I'm so proud of that little chick. Like, she did it.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like she was more courageous than I am now, more brave than I am now, you know? So that's a proud moment, but.
That's so cool.
I have one other one in my mind, and it's of this little girl. Her name is Elise. And I used to do this show at a hotel downtown when I was in college. I just made good money there, and it was so fun. I really practiced. It was like a paid rehearsal. So I'd sit there in the lobby. I'd be playing. All of a sudden, there's this little girl kind of sitting around on that backside of this chair, sort of watching me from around the corner of it. And I just keep noticing her. And then finally, I just kind of waved over to her to come over and sit with me. So she's little, 4 or 5 maybe. I tell her, do you want to just come sit with me while I play this set? So this little girl, Elise, sat in my lap for the rest of that 2-hour set. Aww. And we hardly spoke any words with one another, but we just clicked. Like the two of us just clicked. Aww. So anyway, now she's going into high school. Oh. Or she's finishing middle school. And I still have a really good relationship with her, and I get to see her sometimes. I was just texting with her mom this morning, and so I'm proud of that moment because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, the human connection.
Yeah, it's just really cool what music will do.
So do you have some favorite places in Nashville you want to share our audience? Maybe they haven't been to Nashville before, but where are some of your favorite coffee shops, restaurants, places on a Friday night, places to shop?
Oh, gosh. Okay. No brainer. And I feel like I don't want to tell everybody about this place, but it's my favorite place. It's called 1819.
Okay. I've never been.
It's my favorite spot. It's down in like Spring Hill, Thompson Station area.
Okay.
Like kind of right in between the two. It's a coffee shop.
Okay.
and they're open all day long until 8 p.m. And I love to go and sit in coffee shops and just work and journal and everything. So I will literally be there at least once a week, even though it's in Timbuktu.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not so close to where you're living.
Not at all. It's like 45-minute drive for me, but I love it. And
but you're dedicated.
Oh, yeah, I'm dedicated to that spot. I love their coffee. I love their pastries. I have celiac disease, too, so I can only have so many foods. And
what are you limited to eating?
I can't have any gluten.
Okay.
So I love gluten. I love bread.
But I think gluten-free bread is really good.
They've come up with some really good stuff.
Chick-fil-A has good gluten-free buns.
They do?
And there's so many other places that do, too.
There's a new bagel called Odo's.
Okay.
I'm like, hit me up, Odo's.
Yeah.
They're great.
But do you go there because do you have to be there anyways, like for some writing sessions?
No.
Or you just want to be there?
I just love being there.
Okay. So
I'm productive there.
It's really special.
Yeah, it's creative. It's fun. There's a lot of space, so you don't feel like everything's on top of each other.
Yeah.
Trying to think though. This is like my guilty pleasure for a restaurant on like a Friday or Saturday night. I love going to Blanco.
Okay. I have also never been there.
It's really good. It's in 5th and Broad, which is very inconvenient for locals, obviously.
Yeah,
but
right downtown.
Oh, it's so good. It's the best Mexican food. And again, they can make a lot of gluten-free stuff for me, so I love it.
I've definitely seen it though.
It's good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. Their chips are amazing, and you will be bloated the next day. So
okay. And what about shopping? Where do you go for?
Oh goodness.
Good outfits or?
Okay, so I find a lot of random places. Like, this is so ridiculous. This is so stupid. I can't believe I'm sharing this. Do you know the store Rue 21?
I've definitely seen it. It's more for females, right?
Yeah, it's
I don't think I've shopped it before.
It's like such an early 2000s store. Like that's when this thing was raging. But I like going there because show clothes, you have to wear something different every time.
Yep.
So it's really affordable, and then you can embellish it and make it look super cool because I like to do kind of projects and stuff.
Yeah.
I love going there. I love SVM Boutique.
Okay.
It's kind of in the Capitol View area.
Oh, okay.
I have a friend who owns that place, and she's just so wonderful. I've gotten to do a lot of stuff with them. So.
Also, not been to that place either.
Yeah. It's a great
Filling me with places.
Spot.
Yeah, I haven't been to.
But yeah, there's so many cool ones. I sold these Big Booty Country Girl shirts there one time.
Okay.
And so I'm like so
Is there
excited.
still Big Booty Country Girl merch out there?
There is.
Oh, I bet that's popular.
There is. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And I love it. I'm like, I love that people laugh about it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
As far as like music, what have you been listening to lately?
Okay, I love listening to CeCe Winans. She's probably one of my favorites. I like to listen to her not just for the music, but for her voice.
Yeah.
You can learn from just listening to her.
Yeah.
She's probably been number one. I love listening to Tori Kelly. She's a favorite.
Yeah. Did you like her new EP?
I did.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite one.
Yeah.
But I did like it.
Yeah.
I was really into the Hiding Place one, and then also her what came after that? Oh, I can't remember the name of it right now. But I loved that kind of era of Tori.
Yeah.
And I really like Noah Kahan right now.
Yeah.
I just think he's great.
Fantastic. I was going to say, sometimes I go to CeCe Winans Church here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Which then I was going to ask, do you ever go, or which church do you go to in Nashville?
You know, I'm not really at a church right now because I was leading worship for about 4 years, and I recently just kind of parted ways there. So I'm trying to find my spot.
Yeah. I
I really like the worship at Hope UC down in Thompson Station again.
Okay.
I liked Legacy.
Okay.
I've been to Nashville Life before.
Yeah.
I should probably go pop in there sometimes. Yeah. It'd be fun.
Have you even seen the new location? Because the old location was like in another church.
Yes.
They like borrowed the church.
Yeah.
Now they have their own location.
No way. I didn't know
pretty.
that.
It's nice. It's cute. It's near the zoo.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah. So
very cool.
Yeah. So that's one of the churches I go to when I go to church in Nashville. The other ones I sometimes go to is Zeal.
Oh, yeah. I liked Zeal, too.
I like Zeal. I think the pastor there is really just excellent.
Yes.
And then I'll hit up Cross Point every once in a while. One of my friends is a dedicated Crosspoint person. She's always asking me to join her.
They
So I'm
always
like,
are.
all right, I'll go.
That's
And I always
awesome.
have a good time. It's just such a large church that I feel like the ability to get close to other people is hard. I much prefer like a smaller community of church where it's like
Totally.
these people are like high school friends where you see them every week. If you go to Crosspoint,
Totally.
it's just like always new faces and
I know exactly what you mean.
yeah.
I used to really like the big church thing because I could kind of hide.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, well, it'd be really nice to have somebody who knows all my flaws and blemishes, you know?
Yeah, diving into a Bible study has been
Yeah.
important. Like I did a Nashville Life Bible study several times, and I
Cool.
found that those people are super nice.
I love
and I like
that.
that church is like 50% African American, 50% white. So it just feels kind of like what heaven could look like. You know,
Totally.
it's like
That's-
most churches here in Nashville are like all white. It feels like, and
Totally.
So
That's something that I look forward to because I resonate with both. I just like a more diverse church. I grew up going to Hallie's church, and so it was just a totally different experience than the boring Baptist churches that I went to. I'm sorry, I love Baptists, but I
but get it.
mine was boring.
Yeah, I definitely gone to many sleepable sermons where.
I'm like, woo.
Oh yeah,
This is
that was
Sunday
my
morning.
childhood.
I love it.
Well, cool. Well, before I let you go, is there anything else you want to share with our audience that I forgot to ask today?
You know, I think I'd just share something about you. We met at a Rama Drama, I think that's how you say it, event here in Nashville. And I remember kind of being really confused because I'd never gone to one before.
Neither had I.
I had no
And
idea.
for the audience, it's romance, drama actors from like Hallmark, Netflix, and maybe Lifetime original series or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And so I
It's a meet and greet
yes.
for their fans.
Yes.
And
so,
I was DJing and you were singing.
yes, exactly. And the people who were going to this event were like crazy fans about
Yes.
these actors.
Many
So-
of which I had never heard of before.
Yes.
I'd
Yeah.
only heard of like one.
So you and I were like chopped liver.
Yeah.
We were chopped liver. People were like, there's music. Didn't even notice.
They
you know?
just didn't care about us because we were not who they were there to see.
Yeah, exactly. But I remember, I don't care ever about that stuff. I think it's kind of funny and
Yeah.
kind of another opportunity to practice, right?
Yeah.
But I remember talking to you and just knowing that you were always so present. You're so present in our conversations and so curious about what was going on and so caring to even ask questions, which is such a lost art. And so I just wanted to honor you for that because you're doing that even now today, like as we're sitting here. But I noticed that and that stuff sticks.
Thank you.
It sticks.
One of my friends who watched my podcast was like, you're really good at not speaking through other people and
Yeah.
just listening. But I enjoy listening. Like I enjoy, and I hope the people watching also enjoy like learning about you, you know, because I'm enjoying it myself.
That's
so
really
thank you for
cool.
coming on. And I knew when we saw each other last and you shared about your mission statement with your music that this would be a special episode because I really wanted to hear more about your faith and your mission on today's episode because
Thank you.
not everyone out there is so vocal about that. Some people keep it more hidden and not everyone's where you're at right now, especially with your music and your new single and the new music that hasn't come out yet. That we're excited to hear.
Appreciate
It
it.
has that message in it. So,
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate it. I'm fortunate to be here.
all right. Well, thank you once again, Paulina Jayne, for joining us today. Tell our audience where they can find you on social media.
Oh, well, I'm all over Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. It's just all at Paulina Jayne, Jayne.
Awesome. Well, you've been a pleasure to interview and get to know
Thank
you on
you.
today's episode of Leaving a Legacy.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Yep. See you guys soon.